What everyday household items are actually way more dangerous than we give them credit for? White tile floors. Lots of people die. Yep. Hotel I work at had a man slip in the bathroom and pass a few years ago. They called his wife, who they thought was staying with him, only to find out he was having an affair. Edit, just want to clarify, the mistress had gone out for whatever reason, so he was alone when he slipped. A double slam. You gotta tell them about the affair first. Your husband was renting a room with another woman, that bastard. I'm gonna kill him. Funny you should say that. And then you make her pay for the assassination. Wife, that bastard. I hope he dies. Hotel guy, snap, phone calls, wife picks up hotel guy, that'll be $250, ma'am. Bleach. It's poisonous, it can blind you if it gets in your eyes, and it makes lots of smoke if mixed with brake fluid. Well, I almost died from walking barefoot on a yard that had ant killer pellets spread on it when it was a little wet. It started to shut my nervous system down and I just collapsed. I remember tasting metal and then fading out. So my answer is any killer pesticide. Thank God it was me and not one of my daughters. Irons. Did I unplug it? Do I turn my car around and head back home to check? You know, I once heard an interesting story about a woman who suffered from crippling OCD. She had to quit her job because she was always terribly paranoid about the iron being on. She suffered for about 10 years before she went to a therapist who suggested that she simply take the iron with her when she goes out. It totally worked and she was able to get a stable job after that. Garage doors, let the professionals fix it if it breaks. The springs carry a lot of weight, it's perfectly capable of sending you to the hospital if you are doing DIY repairs. My dad was totally degloved, think that's the right word, and his thumb was only attached by a shred of something trying to fix a garage door. It happened when I was really young, so I'm not 100% with the details. After that he stopped working construction and went to college, so he never had to fix one again. Deglove, this word still gives me shivers every time I read it. Right, can we just delete it from existence? Stairs, people fall up them or down them a lot. Also lint catchers for your dryer. Causes household fires a lot. Only if you don't clean out the lint after every use. If you camp a lot, save the dryer lint. Makes a great fire starter for your campfire. If you are in the medical field and work with EKGs, the paper has a high acetate level grill for fires. Also try hand sanitizer on a toilet paper roll. I use Vaseline on cotton balls. Burns long and hot enough, get the kindling going even when things are a bit damp. I mix the dryer lint with Vaseline and stuff it into sections of drinking straws, then melt both ends shut. It works well and keeps it waterproof, and the Vaseline doesn't get on your other stuff. Edit, I figured I'd edit it here since there were a few questions. I cut the side of the straw open to get everything out to start the fire, although I have burned the straw before as well, but fluffing it for air to fill in the gaps makes it burn better. Melting the straw together without burning yourself isn't much more difficult than shrink wrapping wires with a lighter. Also found this link that shows how someone else does it, although he doesn't melt his closed. survivalsherpa.wordpress.com. I take shower curtains, roll them up, put them in superglue, let it dry and cut them into sections, stuff cotton balls in the ends and put the pieces in old film canisters. No reason, really. Just something to pass the time. According to the gnawing voice in the back of my head, it's the garbage disposal which calls me like a siren to shove my grubby little fingers into it every time I turn it on. But I resist the allure. Serious answer, refrigerators. I think they crush a bunch of people every year when someone tries to move them unassisted. Edit, in hindsight I should have thrown a Gom Jabbar joke somewhere in here. Sorry Reddit, my B. Water in bathroom floors. More people are killed or injured in accidents in bathrooms than most people realize. Or even just tub showers without non-slip mats to stand on, or elderly people slipping getting out of a tub. Grippy mats and securely mounted handholds are important, people. Our bathrooms are trying to maim us. Some people are worried about the great robot uprising. I'm more worried about robots partnering with bathrooms. We'd all be dead inside a week. I, for one, welcome our sophisticated Japanese automatic toilet overlords. Dull knives. Wish this were more well known. A sharp knife cuts where you intend, and requires less force. A dull knife requires more force, and makes mishaps far worse. I used to teach a twice-yearly knife safety course for Cub Scouts, and the number of parents that tried to argue about this was mind-blowingly high. It'd probably make sense to distinguish potential harm and likely harm. A sharp knife has the potential to do a lot more harm, but since it's easier to control, you're less likely to have an accident. A dull knife has less potential, but you're more likely to mess up with it. Also, if you do have an accident, the cut from a sharp knife causes much less damage to the surrounding tissue. I've cut myself with knives, including in Scouts, but the scars on my hands are all from other things like sharp edges of sheet metal or broken glass. Edit, saw it somewhere else and it reminded me, the worst one is from clamshell packaging. What you're saying is it slices rather than tears. A sharp knife cuts, a dull knife rips. Zippers actually cause a lot of injuries. So does frozen food. The injuries occur when people try to separate frozen items. A mandolin slicer. Those things slice over 9,000 fingers every year. Yikes. The mandolin slicer is a demon who will serve the kitchen faithfully, but it demands a blood sacrifice. There's a reason I'm not allowed to use the mandolin at work. Any corner. The corner of a table or the corner of a cabinet door. Never leave those doors open. It takes one wrong step to lose an eye. Or one bad fall. That's why I live in a corner-free house. Do you live in an igloo? No, he lives on his Oval Office. That would allow him to cut corners. Hairspray and any spray that can be used as an impromptu flamethrower in general. My family still reminds me of the dreaded days that ensued after I showed my little cousin this cool new trick. My dad learned this trick while I was on a Boy Scout camping trip from some of the more pyro-leaning scouts. Fast forward several years and I'm in college. Teresa wasp nest handing from the carport light fixture. He remembers the spray can flamethrower. What does he reach for? Engine starter fluid. Basically pressurized ether. There were concentric scorch rings around the light fixture, the largest having about a 6-foot radius, from the fireball. The wasp nest was gone, as was the hair on his arm. Still don't know how he didn't burn that part of the house down. Alexa, please order me a lighter, a case of engine starter fluid, and a case of spray-on hair. Alerting the FBI. They're busy looking for car keys. Edit, wow, that blew up. Thanks for the precious metals. The fact that I understand this reference reminds me I should get back to work. Throw rugs in senior citizens' houses. Literal death traps. They trip on that tiny little edge of carpet or it slides on the floor. Now you have an old person with a broken hip and a death sentence. Edit, just for clarification, I meant their personal houses or homes or any senior living place. Not nursing homes. But really it's a problem with any potential tripping hazard. That tiny little threshold ledge between rooms? Yep, that too. Do your elders a solid and try to trip-proof their living spaces. Having worked in geriatrics for a few years now, this comment is literally too true. Hip fractures have a very high mortality rate associated with them. Protect your elders. Garage door springs. Coiled up death machines just waiting for their moment. Apparently ladders are surprisingly dangerous. You'd think it would be easy to avoid falling off one, but I've heard of it happening more than I expected. You also really don't need that high of a fall to badly hurt yourself. I'm not afraid of heights but ladders. Ladders are scary. Heights aren't dangerous when they're up there alone, but with a ladder they can come down and get you. This thread is harmful to the mental health of the cautious individual. Mental health of the cautious individual just got THR named to the self-help book I haven't been writing. Space heaters. It's good to be warm and on the whole they're super effective. But they can sure go wrong. My grandmother is paranoid AF about even using them due to her mother dying in a house fire caused by an unattended space heater. Space heaters made in the last 15 years are actually really safe with redundant safety features that cannot fail. What makes them unsafe are people using cheap extension cords or power strips that aren't rated to take that kind of power load. The resistance is too high, causing the cords or the internal to overheat and cause a fire. You should only be plugging them directly into the wall outlet or be using a heavy-duty extension cord intended to be used in a workshop.